here today to do my wrap-up of my next 5 books that I've read, books 41 through 45. I am only 7 books away from reaching my goal for the year, and I am very proud of myself for all the reading I've done this year. And yeah, so let's get started on the books I'm going to talk about. The first book being Obsidian by Jennifer L. Armentrout, the first book in the Lux series. I really enjoyed the story a lot more than I thought I was going to. I wasn't going to read this book actually because I'd heard it being compared to Twilight without vampires but with a different race of non-humans, and it just didn't sound like something that I would enjoy because I really did not enjoy Twilight. But then I got this book free at the RT Book Lovers Convention, and I just thought, why not? I could at least just read the first one, and if I hate it, then I have to finish the series. And even though I wouldn't say it was the best piece of literature I've ever read, I really enjoyed it. I thought Jennifer L. Armentrout did a great job of just building a story, building a world, building characters, and I've read other things by her, and I really enjoyed her writing. I enjoyed the story. It was really fun, and yes, there are some similarities to Twilight, but I think the writing is far superior, the plot is far superior, the way the characters act is just actually a little bit believable. The reasons why Damien puts, his just like strong arms, other people from getting into his family actually makes sense, and just the way he protects his family actually, makes sense, and the villain makes sense, and I really enjoyed this story from the very beginning. It was just, it was nice to read something that was just really easy to get through, and it was entertaining. There were some cringeworthy parts to it, but not, not a whole lot, and I really enjoyed it. So I wouldn't say that I would recommend it, but I would say if you are not reading it because you didn't like Twilight, but you want something that's easy and fun, I would say it's a really fun read. And I gave this book a 3.5 out of 5 stars, and I will definitely at least read the second book in this series. We'll see how it goes after that. Okay, and the next book that I want to talk about is Hello, Goodbye, and Everything in Between by Jennifer E. Smith. I have seen this book on several channels, and it just sounded like one of those books that you just, if you're really in the mood for a good contemporary romance, easy book, this is definitely something to pick up. This is a book that is about Claire and Aiden. They have just graduated high school, and they're at the last day of their summer vacation before Claire goes off to college, and then Aiden goes off to college in a couple days, and they have been dating for, I think, 2 or 3 years, and they're trying to decide what they want to do with their relationship. And they have this one last night to really make a decision and decide, are they going to stay together and try the long distance, or are they going to break up because long distance is just inevitable of a breakup. And so it's their journey and their last night, and I really liked the way that Jennifer E. Smith really just told the story. She told in a way that just was just so beautiful. I really liked it. She had the characters, they were traveling around their town, going to various spots that meant something to them as a couple in their friendship and their relationship, and you don't know what that spot means until you're getting there. And the way that Smith tells the story, she tells the present time in present tense, and then when she does like the flashback, she does it in past tense. And so I found that really just a great way to not break you out of the story, because sometimes when you have a flashback you have an asterisk, or you have a header that tells you that you're flashing back, and it kind of breaks the story up. And so just changing the tense in the writing, it didn't break the story up. I do have to say the first time that she did that was a little bit hard to follow because I didn't realize what she was doing, but after that, when I realized, oh, this is how she's going to structure the story, it was perfectly easy to follow, and I really enjoyed getting to know Claire and Aiden throughout the story. There was really no background to them whatsoever. You just learned about them as they were traveling throughout this night into various events and getting little glimpses of their relationship. And I have to say that it really just brought me back to when I was a senior in high school, getting ready to go off to college, saying goodbye to my boyfriend, and, you know, just that feeling of just heartache, but also that excitement of starting something new. It just brought me back to that moment, and it was just so fun to relive that. And so if you're looking for a good contemporary romance story that actually has really good writing, I definitely would recommend this. And it's really short. I finished this in one setting. I really just had to know how the story ended and what would happen, and I really just love the way that everything was wrapped up. I thought it was beautifully done, and it was wonderful and so good. So highly recommend this. I ended up giving this book a 4 out of 5 stars. So that is Hello, Goodbye, and Everything in Between by Jennifer E. Smith. Okay, and the next book that I want to talk about is Lizzie and Jane by Catherine Ray. This book I thought was going to be a retelling of Pride and Prejudice. It is not whatsoever. And so you have Elizabeth, who she left home when about 15 years ago after some stuff that happened in her family to pursue some dreams that she has always wanted, and that is to be a chef and to have her own kitchen. And so you meet Elizabeth when she has her own kitchen and she is doing wonderful things. She has a restaurant in New York, but she has lost the spark of cooking, and she's trying to just kind of get through each day, but that's just like that's something that drove her throughout the years is gone. And so she decides to take a vacation and travel across the United States to Seattle, where her family is, and to help take care of her sick sister, who is Jane. And also, not only that, but to try to refine the spark, refine the magic that she had when she was in a kitchen. And so you have a lot of cooking details, a lot of, you know, her cooking and talking about ingredients, and that was interesting. And I do have to say that it took me about halfway through the book to really connect to Elizabeth as a character. There was just something about her character that I just really struggled to find something to really like about her. And I don't know. And then there's Jane, and she is sick, and I did not like Jane at all. I thought, yes, I know she's sick, and yes, I know that it's hard, and her being angry and her just not wanting to be sick, it's completely legitimate. But I just think that the way that Jane is portrayed as, you have no idea what I'm talking about. You have no idea how I'm feeling, so I'm going to be as cruel as possible because no one could ever possibly understand what I'm going through because no one else is sick. And so that's how Jane is throughout the entire story, and I just did not like her. I didn't like the relationship between Elizabeth and Jane. I don't know. I liked about the last third of the book when I was starting to get connected with Elizabeth. I don't know. I thought the writing was decent. I will definitely read something else by Catherine Ray because this just may not have been a story for me. I ended up giving this book a 3 out of 5 stars. So, yeah, that is Elizabeth and Jane by Catherine Ray. Okay, and then the next book that I want to talk about is actually an audiobook that I listened to with my husband on the way to Colorado this past week, and that is The False Prince by Jennifer E. Nelson. And this is a middle grade, young adult fantasy adventure story. I really enjoyed this. The audiobook is definitely done well, so if you're looking for a good audiobook, I would highly recommend this. So this book is about, you have Connor, who is this nobleman in this kingdom that is on the brink of civil war. And so Connor devises this genius plan that he is going to find someone to impersonate the king's long-lost son to help stave off this civil war. So he reaches out and he finds this group of orphans, and Sage is one of them, and Connor's going to train them up to possibly become the prince of this kingdom. And so Sage is the main one that you follow, and he is just really strong-willed, and he really doesn't want to listen to anything that Connor has to say, but he really doesn't have any other choice. He was sold to Connor, and he has no other options. And so he follows along and really does just the minimal amount to get by, and I found him a little bit annoying, but my husband absolutely loved Sage. And so I definitely have to say that I think that Nelson did a great job of writing the boy characters. They're all boys. There's no, don't think there's like one girl character. The rest of them are boys and men. And I think she did a great job of portraying teenage boys in a light that a male would really enjoy, and I thought it was a great adventure story. I really loved the story, the plot, the character development, the world building. I thought it was all done really well. I'm really looking forward to continuing on in this trilogy, and so if you're looking for a good book for, you know, your 10-year-old son that just wants a good adventure story, I definitely think this is a great book for, 10 and up. It was just so good, and a good audiobook, so if you're wanting a good audiobook for your family to listen to, I think this is a good one to try out. Okay, and then the last book that I am going to talk about is Jim Butcher's Stormfront, the first book in the Dresden Files, and this series follows Harry Dresden, who is a wizard PI, and he takes cases from the police that have a little bit more supernatural aspects to it. And in this book, you have Harry who is looking into two different cases. So this whole book is like an episode of like Psych or episode of Veronica Mars, like one of those cop shows, and you have one case that he's following and he's trying to solve it, and you have one villain and a few victims and all that stuff. So I did not really enjoy this book until I was about at least 100 pages into it. The first 100 pages are a lot of just like character development of Harry, a lot of like world building, and a lot of like just background and setting up the stage for the actual story, and it wasn't done in the most interesting way or the most well written way. I definitely have to say that it took a while for Jim Butcher to really get into a stride of actual good writing, but once I got past the first 100 or so pages, the story actually picked up, part of the plot actually started going, and I enjoyed the last like 2/3 of the book. I have heard that the series gets better, so I'm assuming the writing gets better and the character development gets better, and you won't have to have a lot of like background of who Harry Dresden is. And so I will continue on the series in the next book because I own it, and we'll see if I like the second book any better, and we'll see if I will continue on after that. So I ended up giving this book a 3 out of 5 stars because I didn't like the first third of the book. So that is Jim Butcher's Stormfront. Okay guys, those are the last 5 books that I have read. Let me know down below if you have read any of these books, what your thoughts are on them, and that's all I got. So I hope you're having a great reading month, and I will see you on the flip side.